Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Latman. I am Joseph Latman. Happy weekend to you guys. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Welcome back to the Real. Wanted to hop on today to discuss an important topic that I can definitely relate to right now. So can't wait to get into that. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff for me. I need you to hit that like button and for me on the way in. And if you like this content after today's video, if you've been watching, maybe you're newer, please share it. Hit the subscribe button for me. Really appreciate that. But yeah, welcome back to my show, The Real with Joseph Latman. I wanted to come on today, this weekend episode, little weekend video for you guys, to talk about something that I've actually been experiencing myself. And I think it's very, very important to discuss. A little quicker video today for you guys. So I want to get right into it. So, as anybody knows who's been following me, I went through a 8-year anxiety disorder. Um, really went back further than that, but really took off 8 years ago when I was 15 years old. That's when I was diagnosed by a doctor with GAD and anxiety and panic. And so it was an 8-year battle, obviously. A lot of ups, or really a lot of downs, but there was a lot of ups as well towards the end to help get me out of that. But along the way, though, there was many, many down moments and many, many times where I didn't think I would, I really questioned whether I would ever be able to even be able to leave a block from my house again, like forever. Like there was a time where I really questioned whether I'd be able to really get back to living somewhat of a normal life again, doing just normal things. Almost, normal is up to, like, for me at that time was something simple as just going to the grocery store. Something simple as just getting in the car and just driving for like 5-10 minutes. Something as simple as being able to ride my bicycle, um, more than 2 blocks from my house without having a panic attack. Um, Normal in terms of just being able to sit in my home, even at times, and just relax and just enjoy myself and just enjoy an evening by myself. But that's how it was for me for a long time, especially the first 4 or 5 years. And so uh, I'm at a point now, though, which is the title of today's show: depression following anxiety. What do I mean by that? Well, for me, um, when you live that kind of life for so long, you're right, for 8 years, your life is you're living one way, and like I said, even really before that, really when I was about 11 years old, that's when I started to really feel that kind of fear from an incident I can remember. And so, and then once I found my root cause as well, back to when I was 6 years old, living in an apartment, where I felt very lonely, just very unsafe. And so, with all that being said, for my life though, for 8 years, really because not being able to really be out and doing normal normal things in life for 8 years was obviously a complete 180. It was like, obviously I'd never. It's like if someone went to jail, or if someone went to, if you were confined to one area, just one bubble of your life for 8 years, and sometimes even longer for a lot of people. Obviously, when you start to realize what you believed in your head, once I started to realize all the things that was the fear that was running my life, once I started to let go of that, detach from it, uh, depression came. And I don't see like depression like in a bad way, but just kind of like more of a grieving. And why do I say grieving? This is for my story. It's because when I had to really leave normality, like being around people every day, and just my life from the age of from birth all the way to 15, but really from when I started school at 4 or 5 years old all the way till 15 years old, and then starting playing sports at 7, really from 7 to 15. So that 8-year span there, my life was the same really every day. It was, go to school every day, be around your friends at school, have fun, laugh, learn. And then after school, I'd go play ball. Whether I was playing football or I was playing basketball, or I was playing baseball. I played all year round for 8 years and loved every minute of it. And was around all my buddies then. So my best friends in life I met through sports. And so for 8 years, that was most of my life. That was my life for 8 years. Um, and then all of a sudden it stops, and it wasn't planned either. It wasn't like I just decided, like, or my family and I were like, at the time, we're like, you know what, we'll just stop right here and just, um, you can just be at home now every day. After all this, your whole life's been the same. And not only that, I had goals and expectations at the time too. I'm in high school now. I'm at a new school. I was at the same school prior to that for my whole life, and so, but I had goals, I had expectations for myself that I planned going in there. That I wanted to achieve certain things individually, and also just be a part of things. And so, and to have things in my life that I wanted. Once I got into high school, a lot of my desires started to change. And so, um, for me personally, and so I was looking forward to that. But and there was a lot of new, there's a lot of familiarity. But I was, part of me was like, this is what I wanted to be. This is what I prepared my whole life for. But when all that happened in that time period, which I've explained many times in the show, just a quick, brief, anybody new. So when I got to high school, I went to a new school when I was 14, 15 years old. And my whole ninth grade and about the first month of my 10th grade year, went through a bad, just, it was like a slowly decline of a bad health anxiety, GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. And I didn't know how to handle it, and nobody around me knew how to handle it. So it just went downhill quick. And as the year went on, it just got further and further. Like I said, it just went further and further down. And I also felt further and further more just lonely and just isolated. My confidence went complete to the shitter, really. Just my confidence went low. Um, Everything just went downhill. And so, um, it got to the point where I was playing football at the time, like I've explained, but if you're new, I've explained football. I was playing football at the time, and I didn't really want to play just because my health anxiety that's really what was causing me. So, the end of my freshman year, you already start doing your spring workouts, getting ready for the summer. Who's you by now, if you want to play or not, usually for the most part. And so I was kind of 50-50 to begin with because wasn't sure if I wanted to play, but my parents wanted me to play, and I was kind of like, all right. And everybody around me was telling me, yeah, you should play. But there was something that was wrong because I previously, which I've explained, go back and watch my episode with Zion Williamson where I explained what I went through during that basketball season. My health anxiety was really high that spring. So I didn't really want to play anything. I kind of just wanted to, I didn't feel right. I just felt very uneasy. And so that's why, like, when I was playing football that summer, during team workouts, practices, we would be running or doing stuff, I would start just overthinking how I was feeling, and I would just go into a complete panic on the field. And also at the same time, this is very key what I'm about to say because it'll make sense later on to where I am now when I get to that. But at the time, I felt very embarrassed because I was having incidents on the field in front of people, in front of my teammates, colleagues, and I just felt kind of like just embarrassed. To be honest with you, because I would have like scenes where I would just have to like sit out a rest of practice, or I would just because I didn't know what was going on. And at the time too, I was barely sleeping at night. You know, my parents didn't know what was going on. I just felt like everybody around me was getting frustrated, which made it worse. Right. And so all this being said, now I'm just completely checked out of everything, to be honest with you. I was checked out of everything. I remember there was even a day where I got dropped off at practice, and across the street from the school was a bus stop, the city bus, Metro bus. And I'm sitting there, um, and I literally debated whether I just wanted to get on the bus and just leave, like just away, like nobody could find me. That's how I got. That's how low I got. during that period because I felt so nobody I couldn't explain to anybody around me what the hell was going on with me. I didn't know how to explain it, but also nobody around knew either. So, but at the same time, I'm the one that's feeling all this, going through this every day, and it was just like a big shock to me. And I think it was a shock to my parents. It was a shock to my parents as well because they were just wondering like, where did this come from? Like, what's going on? Yeah, it was just a complete shock to everybody. It just came out of it just escalated out of nowhere. And so, with all that being said, though, so finally it gets to a point where my last practice didn't go very well. I kind of had a conflict with someone, and uh, but a lot of what the conflict was just a lot of what happened that summer was just miscommunication because nobody knew, right? And so I think some people just thought I was just, you know, tapping out because I was soft or weak. But really, what the problem was at the time was I was going through an actual health problem, like a mental uh, problem that nobody knew, and I didn't know at 15 years old. You don't know how to rationalize that at 15 years old, and most people don't even as adults. And so, and it happened very fast too. That was what really made it more overwhelming because of how fast it happened. And so, my last practice there, I leave that day. My parents finally realized, okay, this isn't going to work. So, they, I ended up, I was going to stop playing football, but continue going to school. 2 days after that was on a Tuesday. 2 days after that on a Thursday, I have a bad panic attack in the middle of lunch. Sitting there, I was sitting with my man Mike Matthews, and I remember I was sitting with my other man Tristan Ford. Shout out to both you guys. And I remember I got up and just left the table and just walked out. This is sophomore year. Walked out of lunch, went down to this bathroom at the end of the school where nobody went, and got to the point where I couldn't even leave the bathroom. I called my mom, told her to come pick me up, and I was done with this. Like done with school. I didn't want to come to school anymore because I was just how I was feeling, having panic attacks all day, and I couldn't even sit in class. Like it was just bad. It was just all day long. I couldn't even sit still, and so I remember I even got to the point I've shared this before too, where I have the school officer eventually came in to use the bathroom, and it was like God sent me an angel, and he actually, I just had to open up to him. And I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling right now. I'm trying to leave. My mom's going to get me." And thankfully, that's like I said, it was like God sent me an angel that day. The school officer actually really sat there with me and talked to me, and eventually helped me, comfort me to get me out of the bathroom to eventually go down to the main door to where my mom would pick me up. And I walked out of the door that day, and I remember I shared this recently, walking out of the door that day, and I just had a feeling that chapter of my life was over. That school was over, ball was over, being around people kind of my age every day, being around my friends every day. It just felt like that chapter was done for now. And I remember it was the weirdest feeling walking out. It was a calm. It was around like one o'clock. It was like a nice September day. You could hear the flag hitting on the flagpole. It was a little windy. It was sunny, but I remember just like it was an eerie feeling walking out of there. It was just kind of like that's it. And so, because I knew deep down inside I wasn't coming back because I knew there was something wrong. And so, uh, I immediately go home and end up staying home for a while. The only time I left the house for that point on for the next, oh gosh, next 3 months or so, or maybe a little more, was right maybe like 5 months. To be honest with you, till the following spring. Uh, I only left the house to go to appointments, and to go to appointments was a drag. There was a lot of days I missed appointments, and so and I was home alone every day. I didn't like being alone either because at the time I was freaking out the way I was feeling. Just the hypochondria was out of control, and so I eventually I would go to my aunt's house every day because she works from home, and so I would be able. It worked out. I was able to go over there and just to be around somebody, and then eventually I started to be able to stay home by myself and kind of somewhat get back to somewhat of feeling normal again. Just just being able to like wake up and just like move around the house and be able to not worry about a panic every 5 minutes. Um, but again, that's a complete shock. you know, it's a big shock to anybody if that happens. You gotta remember, I'm in the same routine every day for 8 years, and I have all these dreams and goals and aspirations. And I finally reached to a point in high school where a lot of what we were preparing for, like the guys I played with, was to get to high school and to, it's high school. So you want to, especially if you're an athlete, that's when you really want to play your best, because after that's not guaranteed. And so, um, again, it's like everything just crashed and everything just stopped. And so, but most of my routine, my life, my daily routine was gone. I was just depressed. I got depressed, and I even looked depressed too. I gained a ton of weight, just because the hypochondria made me overeat, and I just looked bad. I wasn't taking care of myself. I just looked like a mess too. I remember, and it was just me and my dog every day. Well, everybody else, everybody had to go to work or school, so I was home by myself, and it was very lonely. And it was a shock to me, especially at 16 years old. I didn't really know how to rationalize that. Obviously, I was very younger, more. I was younger back then, more immature, and yeah, it was just it was weird. And so years go on, I start to slowly get better. I eventually move. For a while, I actually get out again and live my life kind of normally. Um, but I was just kind of getting by. And so when I had to move out of my old house, and my dog had just passed too, once I moved to my new house again, a change happened again, unfamiliarity. I know how to respond to that. So when that unfamiliarity happened, um, to move into a new home where I am now, um, it felt similar to when I left school suddenly. Because once I left school suddenly and got kind of started to get back on track a little bit for like a year and a half after that, I was still in the same home, same environment, the same neighbors. I had my own little lawn business I was doing in the neighborhood just to make side hustling, just to make money. Thankfully, I had a lot of great neighbors over there too that really gave me opportunities to, help them out and pay me, just to help me get going. And so, met a lot of great people too. But so I leave that environment, go to a new environment, and move. And so, as again, it's something new again. It's change. And so I didn't react well to change again, just like I didn't react well to change the first time, when that happened more sudden. Now I knew this was coming, because obviously we knew we had to move, and we wanted to get moved to a newer home. Um, but again, once it happened, though, it was still, and I think too, what messed it up was, or made it worse, was my dog passing, the month prior to us moving. So there was like a piece of the home was missing now, and then you move out of your home, and so, um, I moved to this house, and it was a little worse. I didn't leave this house at all. Like, not even, I could barely go a block from this house from August of 2017 till about the next summer. I was able to go a little further, which was like 2 miles, which was a big accomplishment for me. And that was by bike. And so, and the reason why I would go more by bike is because felt like I had more control of my bike. And plus, I just didn't have much to do anyway. I was bored. And so I would just challenge myself every day. Um, I was getting to the point where I got in a deep depression. I moved over here for that year. Obviously, if you can't leave the house for at all, you're depressed. And plus, I'm in a new environment again. And so I felt that same feeling again. And so I felt the same way again. And so what helped me this time, though, was, um, I'm older now. I just turned 18 years old. So I'm a little more older. I've already been through it before. Once I get to the summer of 2018, I started to, kind of push myself a little more. Like I said, on the bike, I was able to go like 2 miles away from the house. But I remember once I got to that fall, I was going to the same spot every day, same little route, up around the corner, down the road a little bit, and back every day, because I just became comfortable with it. I just became really comfortable. Anxiety suffers. Anybody suffer from agoraphobia as well, and depression, or really agoraphobia, which is what I had. Um, that's you want to be comfortable doing one thing, because you don't like doing 100 things at one time, because it just feels like too much. It feels too overwhelming. And so I was able to stick to one thing, one goal. And eventually, over time, I started to push it a little more. Let's go a little further. Right. And I get to that winter. And this is, if you go back to watch my first episode I ever did, which is almost at like 700 views now. So it's It's where it keeps hitting the algorithms every now and then. But my first video I did last year, which where I kind of took off, was my first video where I've been, and I explained in that video, and I could say it a lot better now because I'm a lot more grown since then, and I've had a lot more reflecting to do. Um, I would go ride my bike, and I became a kind of perfectionist from it. This is another um, trick anxiety will play on you. So I'm starting to push myself a little further from the house, right? Going to the same destination back every day, but going further, a little further each time. Anxiety has a lot of tricks it'll play on you to kind of pull you back in your comfort zone, your subconscious mind, your lower self, your inner child, whatever you want to call it. And so, excuse me. So I would, if I didn't go without having anxiety, which I didn't at the time, I'm starting beginning to listen to learn like anxiety guy, and listen to different something new. It's a different because before all that, for the first 3 years, I was just doing basic talk therapy and taking medication, but there was no like direct help. There was no direct trying to help myself heal. It was just kind of trying to get by. And so then when change happened again, the problem was still there and actually got worse because it was never addressed. And so um, I became kind of perfection. The perfectionism was like a defense the anxiety would play on me. So if I went to the same route and I didn't do it as good as I wanted it to, because I was still in shock in a way, and I didn't realize this. But this is 3 years after post I had to leave high school, right? I was still holding on to things in shock in a way. I don't say in shock, but just kind of like grieving was what I was doing. I was grieving, but I was also it was like it was frustrating because I would say, okay, I'm starting to get back out again. I'm feeling good. I'm starting to push a little further, 2 miles. Like this is a big accomplishment for me from compared to what I've been going through for the last year and a half. But every time I made it and I would feel anxiety, I didn't understand what that was. What and it's okay to feel anxiety now. I know that now, obviously. And that's once I understood that, that's when I started to really take off. But I didn't understand that back then. And so I would get frustrated for feeling anxiety. And so if I went to the same distance and I felt the anxiety, distance from my house, the route like I was talking about, and I felt a certain amount of anxiety, and I would get frustrated. I would say, "Gee, why am I feeling this?" Like, and sometimes I would have to shortcut the route. I would start panicking. I would just turn around and come home, and I'll get frustrated. And I started becoming a perfectionist, is what I was doing, and I was starting to compete with the anxiety, is what I was doing as well. Which, in a good way, and it was good in a way, because I had reached a point in my life after 3 years that I said, "You know what, man? I've had enough of this fucking shit." You know what I mean? That was my mentality. Like I had enough of this. And so I was starting to fight back out of just will, but I wasn't doing it in a healthy manner, which I did understand, but it was still a start. And that winter, the winter of 1819 will always be the foundation for me to restart because that winter riding because if I didn't reach a certain, like I said, if I didn't reach a certain expectation I placed to myself for the bike ride, I would come home and I'd be down, be pissed off. I would start thinking about it. And then that's why I would go out at, like, midnight sometimes in the middle of I went out at midnight one time. The craziest one I remember, I mentioned this in my first one. It was a bad winter that winter for some reason, the winter of 1819. It was just a bad winter, really cold, a lot of snow. I go out in the middle of January, and it's probably 2 feet of snow, like, up to here, right? Just from we had so much snow over there, so the plow trucks hitting on the side of the road. You couldn't even ride the bike on the sidewalk. Number 1, you shouldn't be out in that weather anyways. I get that to begin with. But if you even wanted to try to ride on a sidewalk, yeah, that shit was not happening. So it was you had to ride in the road. And so I went out one night and we had a really bad, it was one of those polar vortexes. It was like negative 30 for real. It was like negative 30. Wind chill was bad. Wind was blowing. It was middle of midnight, so it's really cold. But here I am. I'm frustrated. I just couldn't go to bed happy. Like I couldn't go to bed like satisfied because I was like not because that earlier that day, I can't remember the exact date, but it was middle of January when all this is going on with the weather. I had to turn around and come home. And so the expectation wasn't met. I was placing on myself, perfectionism. And so I turned around and came home and And so later on that night, it was like late. My dad and I usually would stay up and we'd watch like sports, and then he would go to bed. So he goes to bed. And I remember I'm sitting there out in the living room, and I'm like, I'm just not just I was dissatisfied. I was about to go to bed. I turn around, go downstairs, put all my gear. I'm like, I'm doing this right now, like right now at midnight. This is how like locked in I was at the time. Like just so like I was just so like tunnel vision on one thing. So I go up and ride out there. I end up making it to the destination, and I actually I'll never forget that night, because that night it was like God spoke to me, because it was so quiet out there. It was so I felt so by myself out there, but it felt like just me and God. And God allowed that for a reason that night, because that became the real like realization for me. I got out there, and I remember I was on the way back on this road, and I pulled up at like a red light because I was out on the road, and I stopped. And I remember I looked down at my speedometer on my bike, and it said 12:30 a.m. And I looked around, I look at the snow, I feel the cold air. There's a gas station next to me. It's kind of open late, but nobody's there. I'm looking around. I'm like, what the hell am I doing out here? And I was kind of like, okay, I know I want to do better, but this ain't, I don't need to be this crazy about it. Like, I don't need to be this aggressive and this, like, I put too much pressure on myself. And so, I eventually went home. I made it home, and slowly, time as went on after that, I started to, slowly started to have a little more patience with myself and with the process slowly, and I started to enjoy it more, and I started to become little more healthier over time with it. But for a while though, it was just every day. That was the mindset every day, which is go, 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 go. But I was fighting back against it because, like I said, I had enough of that. And so, eventually, time goes on. I started to do a lot better a couple years later, and starting to just. But I'm still kind of in that fight mode, like just that every single day. It was just I was still kind of in that. It was like competing with anxiety every day, trying to get out of that trying to reach expectations I was placing on myself, literally through the bike physically. So I was physically overexerting myself to a point. Lost a lot of weight. Got really like 2 years ago. I was like really probably the skinny, probably the lightest I've ever been, and just from riding, I was riding like 20 miles a day. So in the summer, and by the end of that summer, I was gassed. But I also was I had just got off medication, October of 2020. So fast forward to then. I get off medication, and once I got off medication, as time went on, I slowly started to feel certain things again that were hidden away since back since I was 15. I started to feel things again. I started to things that weren't suppressed anymore, things that were. But I also was reaching a point too where I was dissatisfied with what I was doing, and so um, I ended up hitting rock bottom at the end of 21, or right, well, August of 2021. I hit a rock bottom. Had a horrible panic attack that one night, which I one of my previous episodes way back I talked about, and actually it was a year after that. So back in August of 22, last year, I did it 1 year later, and so I need some water. Hold on. Isn't that nice? You just spill water right on your shorts. But anyways, where was I? So I immediately started to go downhill again, hit rock bottom because I was getting frustrated again because I felt like why am I still feeling like this? Like what happened to my life? What happened to my life back when I was normal? Where I was getting frustrated and I felt very alone. I was getting kind of depressed again, and so because I kind of worn out the fight mode, and so I said okay, I got to really get some real help, and so I started seeing a therapist, and then after time seeing a therapist from August to about the end of March of 2022, I started to do a lot better. Slowly, I kind of slowed down and didn't really go out as much again. Not like as bad, but just kind of, it just was kind of just slowed down for a while. I slowed down for a while. I slowed down for what's that? 7 months. I just kind of slowed down. I just kind of regrouped myself, working with the therapist. That was really helping. And did the health anxiety program with the anxiety guy, just help with that first because I was really caught up in the hypochondria again. And and so that leads me to do my first podcast. And I had thought about doing a podcast for a couple years after that. I wanted to do one because it became kind of like a new thing out there. And I just became really interested in it. It just came like God put a seed in me, and I started to become really interested in it and wanted to pursue that. And so I do my first episode last year in April, and since then it's just been kind of like from then until I'll say from April till the end of January this year was kind of like a blur. To be honest with you, it was just kind of like not say like a blur, but it was just like a lot of change in between. And from doing my first episode to the reaction to becoming that's what I do now for twice a week. I was doing the podcast now, and I was starting to grow more. I was starting to become more confident again. I'm starting to get out a lot more. Starting to feel back to feeling normal again finally. And I did a lot of things for myself personally, like really did some took some personal steps as well, putting myself out there, and also just chasing my dreams, really chasing dreams, chasing goals, and um, just going for things without you know just at least trying, like just putting my like, just doing things, stepping out of my comfort zone once and for all. And so that's led me to which I explained in my couple episodes ago, my first one back when I came back after my 16-week program I just finished with the anxiety guy about 3 weeks ago. And I got to the end of January this year and kind of had a little bit of a lull again with all these new things I was doing from that blur I was talking about for all those months in the last year. With all these new things I was doing, I was starting to feel that uncomfortable feeling again from the last previous times I explained the examples I gave in the 8 years. But I was at a different mind state this time, where this time, because of all I know and what I've been through and the growth I've made, I was able to identify it quicker. And I also was able to want to do things to help me grow. And so that's why I signed up for the Inner Circle program, because I knew when I got to the end of January this year, I explained this, there was a week where I couldn't sleep for a week. And I was starting to feel like some of that old hypochondria again, and I haven't felt in a while. And I was starting to feel like, I think a lot of it too was it was a lot of so many new things I was doing in my life that I was thinking about constantly, wondering what the outcomes are going to be for X, Y, and Z, and could this happen? Is this going to happen? What does this person think? Like, what's really going on? And how can I grow my show? How can I grow this podcast? Just a lot I was processing, and it was giving me anxiety again. It was giving me just I was kind of scattered a little bit. So when I had that week, it was kind of like a week where I kind of needed to. After it was a rough week, I wasn't able to sleep for a week. Had some bad panic attacks in the car. Just was not, was starting to feel like how I used to feel. And I was kind of like, okay. So I was starting to freak out again a little bit. But what I did this time that I learned from previous times was how can I allow myself to get help further? Because I was still doing fine. I was still a hell of a lot more grown than where I was before. But it was like, okay, I need to take this to the final step finally and really take take it to the next level. And so that's when I entered the Inner Circle program because I knew there was some inner things deep. There were still things from the past I had not addressed yet, from way back when at 15 and even further. Things I didn't. I knew there was things back when I was a kid I just didn't know about that were causing a lot of this. And so, the 16 weeks of the Inner Circle program, that's what it helped me do. It helped me to identify um, what a lot of those things were. And I discovered things I never realized caused my anxiety really deep down inside all these years. And what made me feel that way back when I was 15, that's what I really needed to discover. And what made me feel back when I was 11, when I had that experience, what was making me really feel those ways and what was the real deep root cause of it. And so once I found that, I was able to um, really start to take off. And so once I started to take off once I started to realize what it really was, it was like, oh, that's what it was. This is why. And I was able to connect dots. And I was like, this is why I felt like this here, and this like this here, and this like this here. and it all just started to make sense. And I started to do a lot of reframing, a lot of just and along the way with reframing, I started to do new things as well, and like implement new things. And so I it's crazy. Once I started to do that though, I started to feel like a sense of relief in the program, but also a sense of grieving. What do I mean by grieving? I need some water because I'm man, my throat gets dry. Shit. That's a good water. But anyways, probably exaggerate that. But anywho, so I go through the program the last couple since I started the program February this year, got done with it the end of June. That's when I came back, did my first comeback show, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. 'Cause I took a couple months off from this podcast in April and May, and kind of a little bit for the beginning of June as well, probably about mid June. Um, just to really lock in on what I need to do to help myself, to take myself to those final stages. And so to really get rid of the anxiety for once and for all. And so um, that's what I did. And since then, it's been kind of like I said, it was once I realized all those things and I started to let go of the anxiety once I figured out what it was and that it was all nothing, I started to hit a gray area and I started to get a little grieving, kind of like depressed in a way. And that's something I'm still working out of right now because it's kind of like I'm now able to really say I can look back and say that 8 years was over with, is over with. But also, it's part of me is kind of like because I'm 23, my high school and college years were a lot different than probably most people I know. And so, a lot of people in high school and college maybe were out having fun with their friends, hanging out, playing ball, maybe going up to college, running, having fun and just living life. Me, it was the complete opposite. I was, like I said, what I was going through every day. And so, where I'm at now with the depression, falling, anxiety, that's what that is. It's a gray area, but it's a great thing. And I know this now. I didn't know this back then, but now I understand, which is change is good, number one, but also it's okay to grieve. Like when I'm grieving the past, it's because I'm grieving what I wish I would have been able to do that I haven't been able to accomplish yet, and also things I'll never be able to do that I wish I would have did. And yeah, it sucks I won't be able to ever say I was able to do certain things, but God had a different plan for me. And what's helped me with the grieving is understanding that number one, a lot of the things I really desired back then are actually still there. And that's kind of God's really surprised me with a lot of things. He's really surprised me with a lot of things that I didn't think I'd have the opportunity to do, and he showed me, no, you do. And and there's still a lot of things in my life that are still up, and I'm still striving for, I guess you could say, or just hope to have in my life one day. But I'm at that point now where post the anxiety, where I'm kind of in that grieving stage, right? Sometimes I have days, guys, where I still think about the things I haven't been able to do yet, and I get kind of down because I'm in a stage now in my journey where I'm living out who I want to become, and I'm along that is patience. It takes time, but it's still I'm still growing and developing who I want to become. And so I'm rebuilding myself. And so, but there is a lot of that grieving post anxiety. And so I think depression can go many different ways. That's why I wanted to talk about that today, because I gave you my example. Depression can be a lot of times often with change for me, but also caused by grieving, discouragement, not being able to reach expectations, right? That's a big one. That I went through in the middle of it. But even till now, post anxiety, I'm at a point where I'm just getting back out to living normal life again. And I think because of getting back out and doing normal things again, it makes me, it's easy to think about all the things I still don't have yet, or I wasn't able to accomplish yet. And the things that, like I said, the things I'll never be able to do, but um, it made me realize all the things I missed and the people I missed and the things I missed doing. And so I know it's supposed to be a quicker video today, but well, it is what it is. But forget about it. Um, Yeah, it was so just the things I miss doing. And so now that's where I'm at now in my journey. And I hope to say this to you guys, say to somebody out there to like, hey, if you're maybe just got through anxiety, you're starting to feel better, maybe you just got out of something and you feel a little down or a little like sad, it's okay. It's normal. In fact, it's actually a great opportunity to use it as an opportunity to rebuild yourself, discover something new about yourself. It's a great opportunity to do something better for yourself. And so that's where I'm at. I've been able to do things now that I've always wanted to do, but also who I want to become. And also, I view things differently now in my life than I used to because I'm no more mature and older. But also, I just don't see things like I used to. I don't see the world through that anxiety lens anymore, through that fearful lens. I see it through what's accurate, what's truthful, you know, uh, peace, God's lens. I like to say how God wants you to view things. Doesn't mean we don't have fear and anxiety still, but I don't respond to things like I used to anymore as much. And it's a reconditioning thing. And so, but it's completely normal. And so you're not the only one that's alone. Like I said, I'm still working through that right now post the program. And so, but again, luckily for me this time around, back in like I said, the end of January when I had that week, I had people around me now that um, really supported me, but also said, "Hey, you're not behind, you're not far away. Everything's right where it needs to be. Just keep going. Just stick with it. Stick with it." I'm glad they told me that because if I didn't have that around me, I would have did what I did when I was 15 or when I moved, and when I was 18, I would have just crashed again because I wouldn't be able to handle all of it. And so I would have started internalizing everything and blaming myself, thinking it's me, and just nothing's working, and just kind of played the victimhood card. To be honest with you. And so, luckily though, I have people around me. But that's why I wanted to do this video today was to encourage you. Like, hey, if you're at that spot right now, you're at a turning point. You're at that fork of the road. Keep going. Like you're not behind. You're not missing out. If you have to take time for yourself, it's okay. Take time for yourself to help heal yourself because you can't help people unless you can't help people if you yourself aren't good. In order to help people the way you want to help them, you got to be able to help yourself first. And so that's for anything in life. And the right people will find you, and the right people will God will bring the right people in your life, the right relationships in your life, and the goals and dreams I have, the goals and dreams you have, he'll make it all happen at the right time with the right environment, the right ingredients. And trust me, guys, that's where I struggle with sometimes still because there's a lot of things I still desire in my life a lot, and like a lot because it's something things I want, things that's natural. I can't wait for, and I knew there's some things I know once they come in my life will help. They will elevate me to another level. I know they will, but that's where that grieving can come into play. And I have days, guys, still where I can get kind of down and get upset even. And but what helps me now is I don't bottle it up. I don't hold it in. I accept it. I allow it. I have grace upon myself, and I also pray to God right when I feel it. It's one of the biggest tool I have. I just immediately start praying, and I immediately just let it out. Because once I start to let it out, I start to see it for what it really is, and I start to rationalize things better. And then also reconditioning myself because again, for the rest of your life, you're going to have moments where you have to do that. It's not like it's something that's part of us, which is how we respond to it. And so that's where I am, and that's where you are. Like I said, keep going, just keep going. And so, yeah. But I want to play this video real quick. It's a quick video from Man Dennis. Then we'll wrap this up with maybe a quick story, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends how long I've gone. But I'm gonna play this quick video real quick. It's an inspirational video to kind of maybe help you guys, motivate you guys to, but also give you guys some clarity. Really, not really about motivation, just more clarity. If you're at this fork in the road right now, and so it's an 8-minute video. Please watch and just listen to my man here, Dennis. Shout out to Dennis, the Anxiety Guy. Go subscribe to his channel. And yeah, I'm gonna play this video real quick, and then we'll get out of here.
Warriors, I was thinking about you, but I was thinking about you with me in mind back in my anxiety disorder days. And one of the consistent habits that took place in my life was the fact that I was always blaming other things or my anxiety. But the truth was, my friends, that when I started to heal, no longer was I pointing the finger outwards, but I was pointing the finger inwards. Because what tends to happen is when we run into a situation that tends to trigger us and activate the sympathetic system, causing us to feel that rush of adrenaline, causing us to feel the symptoms that we're feeling. Back in my anxiety days, I was afraid of that. I didn't want that. I begged God every single day, saying, please take it away from me. But God said, you know what? You have a role to play in this as well. And it wasn't until I played that role that I started to heal myself. As mentioned, I pointed the finger inwards. Often, my friends with anxiety sufferers, they are very afraid to look at the very thing they have to look at. They don't believe that their anxiety could be caused by PTSD. PTSD being triggered because of traumas that continue to replay themselves in the body physiologically. PTSD isn't a psychological issue as much as it is a physiological issue. So when you feel those symptoms, when you feel the disease, the illness, whatever is creeping up to you, you have to go, you know what? Where's this coming from? This isn't randomly happening to me. Anxiety is no accident, right? The people, the circumstances, the uncertainty, the unfamiliar, the unknown, whatever it is that's causing the sensitivity and causing the anxiety is a blessing. It's a blessing, and it's time for you to see that. Because if you continue to react to your anxiety and the situations that you encounter in the same way, you're going to receive the same thing, right? And that's called more anxiety. But the truth is that the moment you look at your inner child who's creating the anxiety, the moment you look at your ego, right, and you start to go, today I'm going to think beyond your guidance. No longer am I going to look for retribution. No longer am I going to look to run away from the very thing that I'm afraid of. No, 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 no. Today's the day where I become a true warrior and I defy your orders. I defy the orders coming from my anxiety symptoms to run and hide. I defy the orders coming from the headache that says, you know what, you're still holding on to all that trauma and unforgiveness from the past. No, no, no. Today's the day where I forgive myself for those past mistakes. How powerful and how quickly can change happen in a person's life? They can happen right away, right here, right now. You just have to decide. You have to decide and say, you know what? Not for another second. Not for another second am I going to blame my circumstances. Not for another second am I going to blame my past. Because what happened to me needed to happen to me in the way it did so that I could learn what I need to learn. Once you learn what you're supposed to learn, and once you no longer are led by the ego-centered prison called anxiety, you begin to feel at ease. But it takes courage, my friends. It takes courage. It takes a willingness to step out of your normal reactions and into a world of responding. Responding to fear, responding to anger, responding to circumstances and saying, you know what? I'm no longer going to fight for control. No, no, no. If I lose control of the situation, then I trust in the process. If I move myself in the world of the unknown, then I'm curious what's going to be there awaiting me. This is how it was when we were children, right? We weren't looking for a future that we hoped would take place. No, no, no. We were going on that field trip and we said, Mommy, Daddy, I can't wait to go on this field trip. I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know who I'm going to run into. I can't wait. I'm really, really excited, right? You go to the playground, right? And when you went to the playground, you weren't nitpicking, saying there's too much sand. No, no, no. You weren't saying the swings are too high or too low. No, no, no. You weren't looking for the fear. You weren't looking for the threat in the playground as we do as adults. Imagine an adult going and playing on the playground, right? Having generalized anxiety. You're going to go, well, that's a little bit dangerous. That's a little bit uncertain. I don't know what's going to take place there. I feel like people are going to make fun of me. I'm an adult. I shouldn't do that. Yada, yada, yada. Stop. Just stop. And when you allow yourself to stop, you can be childlike again. And you can move through your life experience with a sense of curiosity and wonder. My friends, starting today, understand that any anxiousness that broods within you is a lesson that needs to be learned. And more so, it has something to do with the unworthiness of feeling better. It has something to do with the unforgiveness that you haven't attached to yourself yet. Because none of this was your fault. The traumas that continue to replay through your body were not your fault, but they are your responsibility to heal. And healing begins with the right mindset, my friends. So today, we take responsibility. We are no longer led and guided by the ego centered prison. We are no longer guided by that fearful, afraid inner child within us that went through experiences that were difficult. Very, very difficult. You're still here. You're here. You should be proud of yourself for being here. The courage to go through an anxiety disorder, the courage to heal generational traumas, the courage to look at your fears and say, not for another day. It's today where I defy these fears. And we don't do it through willpower, we do it through understanding, knowing that if we run the same patterns, we're only going to receive the same outcome. Starting today, you're no longer anxiety. Starting today, anxiety is something that you will continue to heal and understand more deeply and defy at every turn, showing yourself and showing your body that this world is safe. And you can move through this world and all the uncertainties within it in a safe manner. My friends, you get to decide who you become. Bring your symptoms along. Bring your mental chatter along. Bring it all along, but never allow it to stick starting today. Remember, you are more than anxiety. Comment below on the greatest epiphany that you received from this video, and I'll see you very, very soon. I love you. Bye bye.
Uh, Great video there, and I love what he said there at the end. Bring it all on, and that's kind of what I had to learn through the program. The 16-week program was just allow and bring it all on, and it starts with your mindset. What helped me with helps me with times where you start to grieve or you get kind of down or impatient is the mindset and understanding that what you went through, like you said there, healed not just yourself, but also like for me, I can relate to that. Stop generational family trauma, anxiety. It stopped with me. God chose me to be that person, my family, and, it was a lot there, but I'm glad He chose me to do it, and I really wear that proudly because I'm able to help those people down in my family and help people around me, and so all about perspective and mindset, and also too that I don't know fully why. Like a lot of things I still desire in my life, things I pray for, things I pray about, people I pray for. When those things happen, when certain things, newer things, more things come back in my life, I start to, the more I kind of evolve and branch out, um, the more I'll understand more why He let me go through things. Because a lot of things He probably has planned for me along the way, are to help other people. And so I'm not sure what's going on with my camera here. Hold on one second. Can you hear me now? Okay. I don't know what's wrong with my camera, guys. My camera froze, but I'll just finish up like this. So, um, but yeah, I think a lot of I understand that what he brought me through, all that he brought me through, um, will be to help someone else, to help other people. And I've already seen that in my own life. And the things that he brings in my life down the road, that's there's a reason why I went through what I went through, because when those things happen, I'll know why. And that takes faith in God and trust in God. And so it takes also discernment, and takes time to it took me time to understand that as well. And so again, if you're someone out there going through it, understand that what you're going through is all for a bigger purpose. And okay, my camera's still not working. But anyways, understand that, and understand that this is all for a bigger purpose, and that um, you know, God has you right where He wants you. Don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to the world or what people around you are doing. What you hear about people around you are doing this X, Y, and Z. Right? Don't worry about that. Worry about your will, your journey, your life, because you're unique. Your journey is unique. Your journey is special. God views you, thinks you're special. I think you're special, but also, you know, everyone has greatness within them. And a lot of times, if you do the same thing as everyone else, which is what a lot of people do nowadays, everyone's doing the same thing. It's hard to really stand out and really, it's really hard for God to really use you to show you off in a way to glorify Him, because God doesn't want everybody to be the same. Because if He did, He would have made us all the same, and He didn't. So you have to really find out whatever you're going through. Ask God what's the purpose for it. Ask God to reveal Himself to you in a new way, why things are happening, and He'll reveal it to you. And He revealed it to me, and He still is. And that's what helps me with the healing. It's not. I'm not looking back anymore. I'm not thinking about the things I don't have anymore. I'm looking ahead to the things that I look forward to in my life, and the things that I know are going to happen. And that is more than anxiety. So, thank you guys for tuning in today. Again, not sure what's going on with my camera at the end. Sometimes this platform I use here, when the Wi-Fi gets a little down, because I think it's storming out right now, so the internet gets a little funky sometimes. Uh, the camera doesn't come in as well, but it don't matter. But so I appreciate you guys for hanging in here with me at the end through this little technical difficulty, but nothing I can do about it. But anyways, the message though today, I hope it really stands out to you. Hopes it helped you in some way, gave you some perspective. Like I said, I'm going through some things right now, good things, not like bad things. Just I'm in the new stage of my life now. I'm in a new that chapter's past me now. I flipped the page, and really looking forward to a lot of the things ahead of me, and to the things I really desire. Like I said, man, a lot of things, the things I really dreamed of, even back when I was 15 years old, a lot of things I really desired, and and as time went on, what caused a lot of that depression following that was I had a lot of regret too, which wasn't my fault. But it was still just like, man, I wish I would have did this. Wish I would have did this. I wish I would have said something. I wish I would have put myself out there, you know. But at that time, I'm glad I didn't, because I was not ready for a lot of the things actually I wanted. I really wasn't ready for change, to be honest with you. I really wasn't ready for a lot of like real like new things. Um, because God had taken me down a different road first, and I had a lot of things that were holding me back then, like my confidence, things that would pull my confidence down, that really was ready to generate that generational anxiety. And so God had to do that first in my life, and He had to use me in that avenue first. But He also set me up to where I am now, and what I'm able to do now, where I'm able to go, where I'm growing, and who I'm growing, and who I'm becoming into. And so, who I've became in the last year, and just so many things that have happened, just great things, that people I've connected with. The connections more than anything is what I really cherish, but also because I really, at this point in my life now, after what I've been through, I really just cherish more. That's why I really cherish people's time. Yeah, I love just being around people, talking to people, just having really heart to heart conversations with people. Like, it's when random people hit me up online, or random people in public, people I haven't seen in a while. It's really awesome. Like it's really cool when people give me feedback, and it gives me juice, and it just gives me like a that also adds to not only the confidence, but also just understanding like, man, you know what? Yeah, I went through those tough times at night on that bike, the night out, you know, doing a lot of those things, but um wouldn't change it for where I am now. And so um yeah, I would not change it at all because when I hear people's responses and I see where I am now in my life, I would not change for anything. And I'm glad I didn't do certain things. I'm glad certain things still haven't happened within the last year, but they will happen. And I think, I'm much more mature. Or I don't say much more mature, but much more just, um, I don't know. I'm still evolving. We're always still evolving. I'm much more evolved than I was 6 months ago. And right now is the best I've felt in 8 years. Just so much more relaxed. Each and every day, I just feel like I'm more and more grounded and settled every day. And I know God's about to bring some new things in my life that I know are about to happen pretty soon that are really going to help that even more. And along the way will be new things that I'll have to, you know, grow through and figure out. But I look forward to that now. I know now. I also know because through all that I've been through, I understand how to um, approach things now in a much more different way, in a healthier way, and having patience and grace upon myself, and allowing things to happen naturally and organically. And so, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I wish I could be on camera right now so I could salute you guys off, but I can't. So, maybe try. Yeah, this ain't happening today. I don't know what's wrong with this kid, but anyway, it gets a little twist at the end here. But I'm saluting to you guys anyways, and you guys can't see, but I'm saluting to you right now. You can't see, but I'm saluting. So, uh, love all you guys. If you're late to this today, please leave a comment below. I'd love your feedback. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Please hit that like button for me. It helps me with the algorithms. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Love all you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone. I'm saluting. You can't see me, but I'm saluting. Gone.